Hi guys, hope you're all well. We are about to jump into a video talking through how to make fat loss easier from a nutritional standpoint. But before I get into that, I would just like to say that if you do enjoy these videos, if you like these videos, if you want to see more of these videos, then please subscribe, because that is going to let you stay sort of in touch with us, to be able to tell us what you'd like to see. But it's also going to be able to make sure that you do not miss out on any of these videos. So, how to make fat loss easier from a nutritional standpoint. Now, I'm not going to go into stuff like you need to be in a calorie deficit. One, because hopefully we know that you need to be in a calorie deficit to lose body fat. And two, because it's boring, everyone bangs on about that. But what I'm going to go into is, once we've established a calorie deficit, fantastic, what's next? How do we make it easy to then adhere to that, to stick to that, to do that consistently over time so we can get fat loss results? One of the biggest issues people have with fat loss is hunger management and appetite. And as you're in a fat loss phase for a while, that's going to become worse and worse, or more and more. So we're going to go through now steps in how to control and manage hunger, which is then going to make our fat loss a lot easier. We have size of the calorie deficit. Now, I know I said I wasn't going to talk about calorie deficits, but I'm going to talk about the size of a calorie deficit. Okay, so hopefully now we understand that the bigger the calorie deficit, the faster the rate of loss is going to be. Okay, now that sounds great, and that might be something that you're after. However, bear in mind that if we're getting a faster rate of loss, that's likely going to mean stuff like hunger management, appetite, being a lot worse. Okay, and that means we've got to be on the ball with making sure that we can control that to the best of our ability. You've got to weigh up how fast you want to lose weight, drop body fat. Then you've also got to weigh up what can you adhere to. If the deficit's too big and you can't adhere to that, then there's no point doing it. One of the biggest issues people have is that they try and drop body fat quickly, which means, as I've just stated, a bigger deficit. But they struggle to stay that deficit, cravings get bad, they introduce foods that make it harder for them to stick to the calorie targets. They then come out of a calorie deficit without really knowing, because they start snacking or letting the odd thing slip. Then all of a sudden, before they know it, they're no longer dropping body fat. Number two is protein intake. Now, again, you've probably heard protein being talked about quite a lot, but I'm just going to talk about it in the sense of hunger management. And it's pretty straightforward. Protein, if you didn't know, is the most filling macronutrient. Okay, so if our protein intake is adequate, that's going to help massively with hunger management. So if you're aiming for that 0.8 to 1.2 grams per pound of body weight, then you're probably going to be alright. If hunger seems to be quite bad, then maybe hitting the higher end of that range is going to be a better option. But protein intake is going to be important for hunger management. Something else I would mention is that frequency through the day also might play a part in being able to manage your hunger. Point number three, micronutrients and high volume foods. Okay, so micronutrients are obviously important for just a general health point of view, but the foods that micronutrients tend to be in large amounts in tend to be stuff like veg intake. Okay, now the benefit with veg and similar foods is that they're very high volume but low calories. So basically this essentially means you can eat a lot of it for very little calories. So obviously when it comes to hunger management, that's going to play a big part, because if you can fill yourself up with high volume foods but not really eat into that calorie allowance that you have, that's massive to be able to control your hunger and to be able to leave more calories spare. You have other high volume foods, and making those choices are going to be a big part of it. So for example, if you were to have basmati rice in comparison to long grain rice, basmati rice for the same amount of calories is going to be a lot higher in volume. And like I've just mentioned, that's going to play a big part, be very beneficial for hunger management. And number four, don't know if you can read that, not the best writing, but meal frequency and timing. Now, I'm not going to sit here or stand here and tell you that there is a perfect time to be eating foods for fat loss. That's not what this is about, because that's just not true. What this is about is that depending on you as an individual, depending on your lifestyle, depending on what suits you best and what's going to allow you to stick to your targets best and adhere to it best and manage hunger best, you're probably going to find that there's certain meal frequencies or timings for you that are going to be better. You know, so you might find that early in the morning you're not particularly hungry, and you can maybe last until 11, 12, 1 o'clock until you have to eat. And that's then going to allow you to have more calories for the rest of that day, where you tend to be maybe more active, hungrier, and that's going to improve your adherence to the program. So you might find only having 2 to 3 meals through the day is better for you and time them towards the end of the day. On the other hand, you might be hungry straight from the get-go. You might find having smaller meals more frequently through the day might be better for you. Now, this is only sort of talking from a hunger management perspective. Again, when we talk about these things, it's not just black or white, this is better, this isn't better. There's lots of things to take into consideration. For example, protein intake and protein frequency, feeding times. Are you having frequent protein intake throughout the day? That's going to depend on your meal frequency, your timing, but these are things we need to consider also. This is the reason why sometimes intermittent fasting can work well for people, because it tends to suit their lifestyle, their day-to-day habits. They might find it better for them to go for X amount of time without eating and then having a window where they then eat and have their meals. That's not to say that then intermittent fasting is a secret weapon for fat loss. It's just to say that for that individual can potentially work, and it might be because of reasons like this. It might be because it helps them manage their hunger and appetite. So there you have it, 4 tips to make fat loss easier for yourself, because you're now going to become better at managing hunger and appetite, which tends to be a big issue for a lot of people. Now, I've tried to order these in terms of importance and what I feel is going to have the biggest effect on your hunger. So for example, if you're new to fat loss, or if you're struggling with hunger right now and you've not really considered these things, I would start with these in this ascending order. So I would start with size of deficit, how big is the deficit. I would then go on to protein intake. I would then go on to micronutrients and sort of high volume foods, and then lastly I'd go on to meal frequency and timing. Very easy to get caught up in what might appear to be the cool, more interesting stuff like meal frequency and timing, and often forget about what you can maybe consider as the basics, the bigger rocks. Okay, so don't underestimate and forget about these things before just swiftly moving on to something like meal frequency. So hopefully that's helped. If you've got any questions on this, please drop them in the comments below. Let us know if there's anything you'd like to see in particular. Same again, let them know, and again, it'd be very much appreciated if you subscribed to this channel.